What's up YouTube, Saf here on Super Saf TV, and in this video we're going to be doing a detailed speed test between the Google Nexus 6P versus the Samsung Galaxy S6. So I did a benchmark test between a few devices and asked you guys which two devices you'd like to see a more detailed speed test between, and these two were voted on top. So in the usual style, we'll be starting off with a fingerprint scanner speed test, then a camera launch speed test. Then we'll go into the apps, so we'll try lots of different apps and then also test out the multitasking. Now you've probably noticed these custom looks that I've got here on the Nexus 6P as well as the Samsung Galaxy S6, and those are through slick wrap skins. So if you do want to go ahead and customize your smartphone and also give them more grip, then you can go ahead and check out slick wraps. I will leave a link to them in the description below. So kicking off with a fingerprint scanner speed test. Here you can see that the Nexus 6P is definitely faster from the standby screen. We'll slow this down so you can have a look. And both the Nexus 6P as well as the Nexus 5X have the fastest fingerprint scanner that I've used on any device. Now just to make things fair, we'll do it from the lock screen. And here you can see once again that the Nexus 6P is super fast and does come in quicker compared to the Samsung Galaxy S6. Now let's move on to the camera launch. So the quick camera launch shortcuts on here. And that was very quick, but the S6 did have the edge here, so we'll slow that down. And it's double press on the home button of the S6 and double press on the standby button of the Nexus 6P. And you can see here that the S6 does load up ever so slightly faster. And the Galaxy devices do have the fastest camera launch, which I have used on any devices. Now let's go into some app tests. So we're going to start off with a browser test. So we're using Chrome on both of these to make things as fair as possible. And we'll be going on to the BBC News website. So starting off here, both at the same time, and you can see that the Nexus 6P does seem to finish loading first. Now let's go into an article, and you can see here that the S6 finished first this time. So I'm going to call the browser test a draw. Now let's go into Instagram, which is one of my favorite apps. Did finish slightly faster on the Nexus 6P. Now let's go into my profile. Once again, ever so slightly faster on the Nexus 6P. Opening an image was pretty much neck and neck. And let's open another image as well. Pretty much neck and neck once again. So let's leave those open in the background and let's go into YouTube. Pretty much the same time. It was exactly the same there. Now let's open a video. And it did start playing on the Nexus 6P first. So let's pause this video and let's now move on to some games. So we're going to start off with Temple Run 2. And we'll open both at the same time. Now one thing to bear in mind is that both devices here do have a Quad HD display, so they are pushing out the same number of pixels, so this test will be pretty fair. And the Samsung Galaxy S6 did get the win here, loading up Temple Run 2 faster compared to the Nexus 6P. Now we're going to leave these open in the background here, and let's try a more intensive game. So Dead Trigger 2 is definitely quite intensive, so opening both up at the same time. We start seeing the graphics first on the S6 and the loading sign also, and it did finish first on the S6. Now let's just go ahead and play the game on both here. And we'll speed this up just so we don't have to waste too much of your time. And here you can see once again the S6 does load the game up faster. So interesting results so far. Now let's try out the multitasking and see if there's any real difference. So let's go ahead and try to open up some of the apps that we had on initially. So we'll go over on to the browser first. And here you can see that the S6 does have to reload that page. So this is something that we have come to know, and that's the multitasking issues with the S6. Now let's continue this test. So we'll go into Instagram. Once again, the S6 having to reload Instagram, whereas the Nexus 6P has that open there ready in the background. We'll just go on to a few images here just to see, and then it's pretty much neck and neck. Now let's go back onto YouTube, and here once again the S6 did have to reload, and that means that we can play the video back again on the Nexus 6P faster. Now let's try out the game. So Temple Run 2. Once again, the S6 has to reload the app, whereas the Nexus 6P does have it running there. And you can skip back to it when you need. Now let's just go on to Dead Trigger 2 just to finish this test off. And you can see that Dead Trigger 2 is open and at the same point that we left it. So what it's seeming like here is that the Samsung Galaxy S6, when it comes to the more intensive apps, it's actually closing some of the other apps down in the background, which does make it open up these apps faster initially, but then you have the problem of multitasking. So although it did open up the games faster like we had with Temple Run 2 as well as Dead Trigger 2, when it came to reopening apps that it had in the background, this is where the S6 failed. So those were the speed test results. Hope you found them interesting and useful. If you did, then please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. What did you think of the results? Do drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Are the results what you were expecting or not? Or are you surprised with the results? And if you haven't already, then be sure to subscribe. I've got plenty more content coming up here on the channel. You can also see my previous related video here in the annotations and stay in touch with me over social media. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on Super Saf TV, and I'll see you next time.